Hi,
Whenever you're ready, mate.
hi, John. You all right?
Yeah, not bad, buddy.
Good,
How
good.
you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. I'm all set for Christmas. All set for Christmas. So
You've had a bit of a trim.
yeah, yeah, much needed. Well, without going into too much
Much needed.
detail, there was a bit here, but the barber had a bit of a Tony, so I just had to quick tidy it up before I jumped on the call.
That's what they call in the hairdressing fraternity as easy money.
Yeah, it was like that when he saw me. So living the dream. But how's things anyway? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Obviously, we had a conversation, over the telephone a couple of weeks back. And so maybe it's a good time to sort of just introduce what we're doing, really, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. So, for those of you that are watching and listening, I've known John for 6 years, and over time, John's become a really good friend, a very good friend, in fact, and a mentor. And we have quite a few phone calls regularly, weekly, bi-monthly, and we always check in. And over time, we've established that checking in and having conversations is really important, and it's helped myself personally and professionally, and I know it has with John. And we want to sort of encourage other people out there to, pick up the phone, use Zoom, whatever it is, to check in on people really and encourage conversation and start um, positive change.
Yeah. No, I think it was really interesting. Like I said, I think the initial thought came in my head, and I obviously mentioned to you at the time that I observed that I'm quite lucky. I do have lots of people and lots of people through social media and keep in contact with them. But I recognized that you were one of, you know, literally a few people that made the effort to call me. Whereas I like to think I do that a lot with other people. But it was just really interesting observation that I hadn't heard from people unless I'd called them, and how important that felt to know that somebody was thinking about me without needing prompting, without a text or a message beforehand. Please give me a call. You were doing that ad hoc, as I'd like to do with other people. And I think that's where it sort of sparked that initial thought, and how best could we then get that across, and how important that was. And no more important than ever in this particular year, that we haven't been able, apart from once this year, to actually meet in person, and how important that really was. So that's why we ended up thrashing out this idea of having a Zoom call where we don't have to meet in person, but see somebody's face, have that human interaction. I think it's really, really important. And like I said, we ended up, with a working title, which we're going to continue to use, which is Two Blokes and a Phone, because ultimately, obviously on this occasion, it's two blokes and a laptop, but principle is the same. That's really all it takes. And I can't stress, and I did at the time, how important and thankful I was that I have got mates that do that and check in,
Yeah,
and you were top of that list.
sort of echo that really. I mean, during lockdown, the first lockdown, I was living with a relative, and I'm now fortunate to be back on the property ladder. But during that time, that when you was only allowed out once a day, and luckily where I was living at the time, my uncle lives in a nice property, lots of greenery, lots of fresh air, so I was able to go out and enjoy the exercise. But it, like, it's that tangible conversation, and you realise who your real friends and family are, the ones that they don't need prompting. They'll just phone you to check in. They will phone in to ask how you are, or drop a text message, WhatsApp, Snapchat, whatever it may be. And it's something that has helped me, and it helps me now. I try and do it as frequent or daily as I can, with as many people as I can. And I did it yesterday, funnily enough. I'd not long finished a session with another employer, and I sent out quite a batch of WhatsApps, and the amount of responses that I got back, sort of very thankful, and wishing me all the best for the remainder of this year as well as next year. And just that one moment, took about 5 minutes to do, but those 5 minutes brought some sort of joy or happiness to those who received it. And I think it's something that doesn't cost anything. We should do more regular.
Yeah, I think it's like we've talked about before as well, Stuart, in those multiple phone calls, where what is stopping people doing that? That's what I'm curious as to what is stopping people doing that then. And the normal excuse is, I've been busy. Well, most of us have got a full-time job. Most of us have got, they're lucky enough to have families and other commitments. But what we're really talking about is 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's
And I just don't get it sometimes. It's just,
someone was saying to me the other day, "Oh, it's all about priorities," and that really struck a chord with me. It's like there's 24 hours in a day, and I was, funnily enough, I was explaining to my daughters in the car yesterday on the way home that there's 24 hours in a day. They should really sleep for 12. So obviously breaking down the maths, they have 12 hours. What are you going to do in those 12 hours? And picking up a phone or sending an email or however you want to communicate doesn't take long, and it's about priorities. And I think sometimes people, like you said, put up barriers or diversionary tactics to not want to reach out or have conversations.
yeah, I just think, most of us have to deal with emails at work, messages and stuff. But there's something different about an interaction. And I suppose what we're advocating is whether it is through Zoom, seeing somebody's face, seeing that visual, or speaking to them on the phone is different to a text or an email.
Oh yeah,
And I think there's something about that. Like I said, it's just like, you obviously know that, I work, for 111 and in a call center, and I can be speaking all day, but technically not talking to anybody. And that's the difference that we're talking about is, has anybody actually checked in and asked how I am, what I'm feeling? And obviously the whole movement that you're aware of, it's okay not to be okay. Who's actually asking that question? Because you're not going to get an answer unless somebody asks the question.
yeah. And it's something that there's nowhere apart from yourself really and a couple of other friends that I don't feel I have many other people where I can actually go out to people and actually tell them how I'm feeling, if that makes sense. And I often wonder, like, especially, I mean, I'm sure.
So I was going to say, look, the reality is, Stuart, nobody wants to hear that. They've got enough problems of their own half the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's the thing. It's just like, it feels like you're dumping on somebody else. So, we've talked about this before. You end up with a circle of people that you can do that. And that, therefore, is the definition of a true friendship, is they're willing to listen.
yeah. And like I said, it's priorities, isn't it? And a few people have said this to me, and I've listened to it on a few podcasts. But you have two of the. Well, I know you said it a lot as well. You have two of these and one of these for a reason, and the listening to somebody and I suppose, like you said earlier, dump their feelings or emotions on you. It can be monumental in their development
Yeah.
and growth.
I mean, I normally, when I ring you normally, I'll probably put a disclaimer in first. I'm going to go on a rant. I'm going to rant for a bit. Are you prepared? And at least then the reasoning. I'm calling because I need to vent. And I think that pressure valve is something I've been very mindful of. You're dealing with lots of stuff. Obviously, we live in really weird times in 2020 where everything's changed, everything's up in the air, people are uncertain of what's going to be happening, jobs, health, etc. And what you need an outlet. And the whole concept of it's okay not to be okay is, we know as blokes, we're probably not the norm in the sense of talking about how we're feeling, talking about things that are emotional and, where we're not getting it right and we are struggling. you know, and that's what I'm sort of thankful for, is you need to find people like that. Everybody needs somebody like that,
Oh,
regardless of gender, age, whatever the problem.
no, it's, I mean, 36, and I'm starting to realise the real importance of that. I mean, you know how much you've been helpful to me over the years, and I'm sure as these conversations continue as time goes on, people will get a glimpse into that. But yeah, 100%. Everyone needs to have conversations, you know, to absorb or help and guide people, because I think that's how you move forward. That's how you improve on things. You can't do it alone. You do need others.
Yeah, and I think there is obviously a recognition at the moment that men actually, you know, don't want to stereotype. I think we do have conversations. It's just obviously generationally that starts to change a bit, and I hope, you know, in the future that different generations and young people sort of do begin to realise that they do need that. Somebody needs to be able to talk to everybody. You know, at some point you're going to need to get that out, because it's not good for your physical health, it's not good for your mental health if you're not actually talking about how you're feeling. Because as I said to you the other day, like we talked about, like generally, you know, I've lost count of how many jobs I've had, but each one there comes a point, like we were saying earlier, about how you find it demotivating, and it's a bit of a struggle because it becomes a routine. I've had loads of jobs like that. The latest one is you reach a point where you're in your comfort zone, you know what you're doing, and then you think, okay, every day you've got to really motivate yourself to go out and do that job again. And I just think, yeah, but if you don't talk about that, where does that go? It affects your mental health, it affects your physical health. Eventually, you know, that leads down a path. It doesn't mean that you're going to be ending up clinically depressed or something, but it's going to have an impact.
Oh
And
yeah,
unless you've got somebody to say that, you start feeling that you're the only one. We had that conversation, and it's reassuring in a way. Oh, I'm not the only one who feels like that.
yeah, and then that's the thing that I felt better when I spoke to you the other week. You know, I think it may have been last Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I felt like going through the motions, and I was doing what I was doing, but there was no way on earth I was as productive as I normally am. And I think acknowledging that, you know what, a time out, a break, and adaptation to things. Already, I feel refreshed, and obviously, I know I've still got a week and a bit before I go back to work. Um,
yeah. I mean, and obviously, you know, we're here. We are Christmas Eve. You know what I mean? And it's all different. You know, and I don't know about. I mean, do you feel Christmassy?
Uh, to be honest, mate, I mean, I'm not a humbug by any stretch, and you know, regardless of the jumper. But no, I'm not. I think for me, as I've got older and working with, and you know, having friendships with people like yourself, I think I've realised in my head the true meaning of Christmas, of like helping other people or doing things for other people. And I appreciate, you know, my friends and family and what they've done, and I like to help them out. But I'm not a big fan of the, you know, over the top um, decorating of your house and going out your way to spend more than what you normally would. And people have their own opinions and views on that. But I think for me, my understanding of Christmas is helping people, and the impact that you can do, that togetherness, that support network. I think that's what makes me Christmassy, is knowing that a little deed can help people, and you know, bringing a smile to someone's face.
Yeah, and obviously the other thing that I was curious about, you know, your opinion is how difficult is that? Because obviously you co-parent at the moment, you know, with somebody else, and you know, you're not necessarily waking up every Christmas with those kids. You know what I mean? And but because you have kids, you must automatically, it must be a little bit infectious because they
Oh,
must be
yeah, yeah,
quite.
yeah, they are, yeah, and that's the biggest lesson that, once again, as these conversations continue in time, people will learn more about me. But I have learned that obviously I am a role model. I am someone they look up to, and I am Christmassy. You know, I do have a Christmas tree, and a few decorations up and cards, and the Elf on the Shelf made a guest appearance this year. That wasn't my doing. You know, my partner, who I'm seeing, has brought one because I was kind of humming and ahhing and moaning, or it's a pound, and I know that might sound tight, but I was a bit like, I don't think it will have much of an impact. But when I introduced, I don't know why they've called it cookie, like both of their eyes sort of went like super big, and every day I've hid him in different places, and it's that. I think that's what I've realised is little memories. I think that's what my girls like. I don't think they like presents, and the eldest one is starting talking about iPhones, and I'm trying to explain to her. I don't think she really grasps what a phone is, and what.
Yeah. But knows that she should be having one.
Yeah, and it's sort of people are asking questions, but no, I mean, it's a good.
So
question.
talking of which, yeah, let's go back in the day then. So give me a good example of one of your first Christmas memories and first Christmas gift that you were excited what you were going to get.
I can't recall like when I was younger. I think I might.
What's the earliest one you can recall?
Yeah, well, nine or 10, only because me and my brother had a retro Super Nintendo, and we had like the bazooka thing that went on your shoulder.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I just remember like, wow, going absolutely nuts for that. But I think it was the fact that where I used to live with my brother and mum and stepdad, and my mum and stepdad live there now. It is quite a small house, and but it was just that compactness, togetherness, like that sheer enthusiasm, and it was more not about what's under the get my words out, under the tree, or the amount under the tree. It was kind of the environment. And I think kind of what I'm trying to do now with the girls is, they're not short of anything. They never will be, and I'm lucky to be in that position, and because of other friends and family. But it's more about the experiences, the conversations. That's kind of what I'm keen for.
Memories. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's memories.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm trying to link that to. So what are your memories then? What, like getting that, showing the difference in our age there, Stuart. I mean, computers were invented when you were a kid. And I suddenly popped in my head. I was thinking, like, there's two major ones. Like, one was really, really exciting, and I didn't expect it and didn't know it was coming, and was the world's best kept secret, was getting a grifter, the old bikes.
Oh,
yeah. You have to Google it afterwards.
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
It was the thing, you know what I mean? All the little tassels and bits that you could add to it, and just I wasn't expecting a bike, and just the freedom that they gave me at the time, living in a village, being entertaining yourself all year by just riding around for 20-30 miles, visiting other places. That freedom that it suddenly gave me. But then the flip side was one year getting an LED wristwatch that I thought was the mutts. It lasted 2 hours.
Oh, I bet those were classic.
And died. It's gone. I remember I was about sort of 10 or 11, floods of tears. That's Christmas over. It's ruined. You got me a watch. It's a dudden. I mean, but it's memories. It still sticks in my head. Here I am, 40 odd years later, going, yeah, that was not a good Christmas. 2 hours LED watch made in China somewhere. That was gone. But then equally, like I said, getting a bike and just thinking, God, the amount of, I think back now to the amount of effort that must have taken for somebody to get that, all year round, they must have been saving, knowing, keeping it a secret, and just that joy, that element of surprise.
Yeah,
that's the memory.
Yeah, that's what I've been really introducing to my girls of late. It happened this morning. I'm not going to name which child in particular, but kind of talking about, I wanted the TV back on, and I said, let's go and have a wash. They've been entertaining themselves, and I'm fortunate enough to have a TV where it's a smart TV, I can connect my phone, so on and so forth. And I was just talking about like, you know, you are lucky in the sense that there's food in the cupboards, you've got luxuries, um, you can pretty much watch what you want when you want. And I've tried to explain that things take time, and you know, yes, I have one full-time job, but I also have two other part-time roles that I sort of jigsaw in across the week. Um, and I've said to them like, you have these opportunities and these experiences because I've worked hard, and I've tried to teach them that the rewards don't come straight away. You know, that was it. And my youngest one and said, "Oh, I'll be good if you put the TV back on." I was like, "Well, no, because I've asked you to do something. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
just cooperate. You know, hot
Yeah.
flannel,
Be
warm
good
flannel."
for being good's sake,
Yeah,
not because of reward.
and I said that. I said, "Well, oh, if you give me a treat, I'll be good." I was like, "Well, I might try that
The
approach."
problem with that, Stuart, is the treats then get bigger.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and
what I'm thinking. It's just like, well, okay, you get a treat now, and then
yeah,
the next time she'll hold out for a bigger treat
yeah,
because she knows that's the lesson.
yeah, and it's something that I'm trying to control myself to be more.
Must be so much pressure, though. Do you feel pressure?
Got big time, mate. With it, I'm not going to lie. I really got angry at my youngest one the other day to the point where I just wasn't happy with myself. Like, I really like afterwards. It was one of those moments where I wouldn't say I sat in the corner of the room, but I felt like that. I felt like wow, like I've been pushed, and did I control the controllables? No, and
Yeah.
well,
But like they must be under pressure. They see things, adverts, and other people, kids at school and stuff, and it's just like
yeah,
I can never. When I was younger, I know I couldn't ever be sort of talking to my parents, going, "Here's a list of things that I want."
yeah,
Apart from the fact that you used to maybe like circle the Argos catalogue and go, when that kicked in, stuff like that. But, in my day, it was a Littlewood's catalogue because Argos didn't even exist. But,
well, no,
but it was,
I got one now.
but we never really had that vibe. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, you get what you're given
Yeah, I
and
am.
be thankful, actually.
It's something that I've said to my girls, and they go, "Oh, so and so's got one, like a family member, on like my ex partner's side," and I was like, "Well, that's I can't control that. You know, that
Yeah.
that's not my responsibility." And I've tried to explain like why you're not having a phone. And I said, "Oh, when you go to secondary school, which is quite frighteningly, you know, just over 2 years away," I said, like, hopefully you'll understand the concept, but you won't be getting the iPhone, whatever it is at the time, or Samsung, or whatever model. I've tried to explain that. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it must be like I said, it's having not had children, haven't ever experienced what that pressure must feel like. That language of love, as it were, which is, here's a photo of me, under my Christmas tree with 700 presents, because that's what they think Christmas is, and the pressure that must come from the child and that expectation. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I went. You go to school. When school opens, what did you get? It's the first question out of everybody's mouth. What did you get?
yeah, yeah,
And it's just being mindful of exaggerating. And I think it all comes from those values. What your parents installed into you. I was quite lucky. That my parents, a bit like you've been describing, were very clear on. We haven't got a lot. Wouldn't say I was poor, you know what I mean? I'm not a Victorian pauper walking around, you know what I mean, with no shoes. But we weren't well off either.
yeah,
And just accepted the situation. It wasn't, well, that's outrageous. Why have I not got the latest Nintendo? Why have I not got this? Why have I not got that? You just go, well, actually, most of my peers are in the same boat. So they go, what did you get? Oh, I got Subbuteo. Excellent. Right, be round yours at 4 o'clock then.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and that's what, there was a lot of that sort of would go on. Just knowing that you'd share whatever you had.
Yeah.
And those are the values. It's like you got what you got. You be thankful that you got that, because there's plenty of people that don't.
Oh yeah,
And and it planted that seed in, well, yeah, actually, I do know, because you'd have conversations at school and you're very mindful of not bragging too much, about what you got, if because there were kids at school that didn't have what I had,
Yeah, and
you
it's
know.
something that going back to what you were saying earlier, the pressures. Like I can recall how I was, with my mum, because I live with my mum and stepdad, and I probably was a little bit ungrateful at times. Not probably, I was ungrateful at times, and showing a lack of maturity that things cost
Yeah,
and,
you were a kid. Yeah,
and take time. And as I've got older, I realised, oh, you know what, things do take time, and that compassion and love and that support.
it must be so hard. And I'm just thinking, and especially in your situation, like I said, we sort of skirted past that a bit, but you know, getting used to the fact that you're not going to be with your kids on Christmas Day.
Yeah, no, it's upsetting, and there's a few times we've had conversations, and they've asked me like, "Oh, can you come round?" And I've tried to. I'm kind of filtering with like, I don't want to be crystal blunt with them yet and say, "Oh, I don't really want to be around." I can be around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but obviously it's difficult, isn't it, at the
yeah,
moment with COVID and tier fours and
yeah.
tier 26 or whatever we're in at the moment. It's just that's difficult as well. Do they understand that concept, that regardless of whether you want to?
Yeah. I think they have an awareness of it. But what I've tried to explain to them is that I might not be around, but I am contactable via FaceTime. Well, pretty much what we're doing now. Like they can always reach out.
Yeah,
And that's something that,
and that's one of the benefits, in it. You know what I mean? Of you know technology as it exists, that you can, as we've done on many occasions, talk like that, FaceTime. We've had conversations. Talking a little bit now about like our work together and how we came together. Through sport and social inclusion, and being able to keep in contact with the guys that we've met in Africa and Ghana and Kenya, and getting messages and photos, and being able to WhatsApp them and how's it going, my brother, and it's just talking, and and just the world's a small place in that sense. So whether you're two streets apart or two continents apart, that's one of the benefits, I think. And again, sort of looping it back to what we were talking about before. Well, it doesn't really matter where you are. If you've got Wi-Fi, then you can contact anybody.
yeah. And that's the
You got 5 minutes, you can reach in and go, just checking in, how's it going?
yeah, and that's kind of that priority thing, isn't it? Most people I know have smartphones, they have data, they have 4G, well, some have 5G, etc., Wi-Fi, hotspots. There's always an opportunity to reach out, and yeah, and luckily now we can do that across the globe.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about hopefully in the future, like I said, with that in mind, maybe we can invite Jake into our conversation, and people can get an insight into what it's like living in Ghana and these other places. And always baffles me is to think, you and I obviously had the blessing and the opportunity to go out to Ghana and do these things, and you obviously continue to work with sport and social inclusion, and just it's just interesting touching upon that. It's just like when you think about your experiences and you're thinking about COVID and what you've had to endure and deal with here, it'd be interesting to see what his feelings are and what it's been like for him. I know that it's impacted them in a different way.
Yeah,
you know
I
you
mean
know they
that
haven't got the facilities, and as you well know, from being there, it, it must be very, very difficult to deal with that.
oh yeah, I mean that's just something that's just kind of reminded me of what we said earlier about, you know, a cuckoo san. I think I pronounced it right, or cuckoo what's
A
it.
cuckoo or wussy wussy.
But that village, even though it was relatively big, there's hardly anything around it. Now, for me and you, hospitals are what, 10, 15-minute drives, if that, roads, well, as we
Yeah.
know, you know, I don't even think Wi-Fi was there. It was all data, was it?
Yeah, it depends. You had to stand on one leg on the top of a building.
Yeah, and and it's probably what they're aware of and what they know. But then it makes me think that they're not. They use social media. They're friends with me and you. They see some of the things that we get up to and what we have, and the fact that I can just walk out of my shop, house, even sorry, walk out of my house to go to the shop,
Yeah.
which is walking distance, and I can pretty much grab pretty much everything I need. Whereas they were very limited. They're not going to be able to go, oh, I can get Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean, it was just very interesting because obviously, like the rural nature of where it was, it created a barrier. So obviously, there's limited amount of people that are going in and out of there. So that the chances of spreading something like that would be minimal. But obviously, again, statistically, people arguing about the stats and death rates and things in England, which is horrific at the best of times. But quite aware, the last conversation I had with him is just like, well, there are no stats. No one's actually gathering the data, and even the ones that they are, they're a bit iffy at best. And you're just thinking, well, like, yeah. I was just like, I was just thinking, like you say, well, what if somebody did get symptoms in that village? They're I don't know, about an hour and 40 minutes away from the nearest doctor.
yeah, and it's not the most. And if you're in some sort of pain or discomfort, the roads aren't particularly great, are they? And
I remember walking up to that cocoa plant place where you ended up having some dodgy backstreet booze made out of those cocoa plants. And you go, mind your step, John, there's a snake. And I was thinking, well, if I'd have stood on that stake, I'm stuffed now.
yeah, and
Because there ain't an ambulance going to come and get me.
oh no, yeah.
Not down them roads.
Oh yeah, and it all comes back to pretty much what you're saying. Is like being grateful for what you've got and what's around. I mean, I do recall I said this to my girls the other day about having a shower over there, and they were grizzling, ooh, flannel, and they're arguing at the moment, like, oh, I always go first. I was like, I don't really care who goes first, just get it done. Like, you will both get to watch the TV, or I pause it, and we just crack on. Anyway, like both of them ended up having a meltdown. I was like, some people don't have the facilities to have a wash, to watch whatever's on TV. And I said to them, oh, there was times where I had to get water out of a well. And I remember getting to where Jake lives, and I was anticipating the nice hot standing shower. And I was like, no, no hot shower here, mate.
Maybe you need to dig a well in the back garden.
Yeah, and sort of get a solar panel thing and try and. But it just made me think, well, the water's out of the well. Like, technically, I'm clean either way. Yes, one's cold and one's nice, but I'm clean. And it was by the second day, I just got used to it.
It becomes the norm.
Yeah, and
it was perfectly, like I said, it was perfectly acceptable. You were clean, you were fresh, ready to go for the day.
Yeah.
That sort of slightly cold water was actually quite refreshing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I remember like every morning waking up and having that couple of buckets of like water shower. It just, like you said, I'm clean. Whatever the process is, I'm clean and I'm ready to attack the day.
Yeah, we're quite fortunate, really. Like I said, we've had quite a few experiences and memories and different places and things that we've done, and yeah, I'm just very, very mindful of that. Has made me a better person.
Oh yeah, it's
by traveling and having different experiences and being exposed to different cultures and different ways of thinking about things. I remember, like, obviously I've been to Kenya and I've been to Nairobi to visit one of our projects out there, and remember like being introduced to a particular sort of very important guy, that was maybe going to be a supporter. And there was a lady at the head of the table, and I couldn't understand why Patrick was sitting about 2 meters behind her before COVID and the 2 meter distance stuff. And he goes, oh, it's part of the culture. I was like, okay. He said, you always have to sit behind an elderly sort of person that's respected. you know, and it's the same with like mother-in-laws. If you went round to meet the mother-in-law, you'd always have to sit behind, you know, as a sign of respect. And just being friendly and naturally friendly. It was saying goodbye and hugging everybody in the meeting. And I went to hug her and she screamed. It's like, you don't ever touch a woman in public like that or hug, show any sort of, I was like, okay, you live and learn, you know, and it's just like, okay, won't do that again then, you know. And it's just like, it makes you a better person because it makes you aware of, you know, how you need to act and just being respectful and mindful of different things. And it's definitely made me a better person, I like to think, you know, as a result of those experiences, really.
No, it hasn't. I mean, I can only echo that really from my behalf. And once again, this came up in conversation yesterday. I was all, the girls I started, when can we go to Cyprus again? I was like, well, hopefully when COVID and it disappears or vaccine or whatever, it kind of followed on with there's other places in the world. And, you know, they were naming the continents. And I said to them, name me some countries in Africa and you could see them like the little cogs going. And I had to refer to films. So Molly thought Madagascar 3
Right. Yeah.
was a country, and I said, "Oh, take away the 3, yeah, Madagascar, Ghana, Kenya, so on." I said, "Like the world's a big place, and I want to try and tick off as many new places as I can." And I've said to them that, you know, when I went to Ghana and with you more so than when I went to Kenya, um, in Ghana, I loved sort of having free reign of being able to, of an evening, you know, go out and walk and chat to people and engage. And some of the things that we saw and heard and
Yeah. Are
experienced.
you referring to a dick on a stick, are you?
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about that.
You better clarify
Oh,
because you're sounding really dodgy now.
yeah, no, one thing I want to add a bit of context to the story, but when I go abroad, I'm always one for trying local beers. You know, I've got a thing for, you know, sampling different types of ales or lagers and food for that matter. And I think Jacob was quite keen on that as well. And after one of our sessions or engagement sessions, we went to a local bar and it's quite good actually. I thought, you know, considering he said, "Oh, are you hungry?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, I kind of went past the sign and I saw a chicken gizzard. Now I'm not going to pretend that I knew what a gizzard was at the time, but eating it and I was like, "Jake, is this chicken?" "Yeah, yeah, 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 brother, yeah, stew." I was like, "This ain't chicken. This ain't like breast or any other part of a chicken that I normally have." And I'm eating it and I'm kind of enjoying it, but I'm not. And anyway, he ends up telling me that it's chicken intestine. And the next best thing on the barbecue is pretty much as we've kind of known it as is a dick on a stick, but it was pretty much sausage.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, yeah. But I was like, you know what, I'll happily have what we've named it. And then ever since then, I was like, I'll eat that all day, every day over those.
Yeah, you could have spicy dick or non-spicy dick.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. I'll just,
It was a bit spicy.
yeah. But going off the, but that's something I bring up in conversation. Like when I speak to the apprentices that I work with, you know, like having that experience to like coach and mentor and teach, and you know, but going back to when we first met, I mean, what I think it is over 6 years ago, you know, to that took time to, and you know, I'm sure we'll talk about the other things we've experienced, but yeah, that night, remember, I can picture it. You know, it was the country western music was on, and I think
Yeah, very sad.
yeah, I'm never eating. Well, I was saying I'm never eating the gizzard, but I can say, well, whether through lack of education or knowledge, but I ate it, and it's something that it, sticks with me really.
It's memories, isn't it? It always goes back to memories, and I just think that that's the important thing that I've realised is, you know, and we didn't know each other that well, and therefore you sort of weren't at my wedding when, you know, I remember having a speech and sort of ripping it up and just going, this doesn't feel right. I'd sort of rehearsed like everybody does and had it, you know, all written down on my phone as what I was going to say. I just remember ripping it all up because I really wanted to speak from the heart, and I think this is something that, sort of lesson for the day in a way, something that I've realized a long time ago, that what I ended up saying was, I truly believe that if you're fortunate enough in life, that you'll end up with an hour where you know you're going to die. This is it. This is your last hour, unless there's something horrific happens and you don't know, etc. But if you're fortunate enough, you live to an old age, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be sitting there reflecting. You'll be reflecting back on life, and people talk about that sort of, your life flashing before your eyes. But I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about having the time to think about all the people that you're going to miss and, leave behind, but the life that you've led and the memories, it will all come flooding back in. And really, in my wedding speech, I basically raised a toast and just said, I want you all to raise a glass now, because I know that you're all going to be in my last hour. And I think that's what I wanted to get across, was that's what I think life's about, is collecting those memories, collecting those experiences, and trying new things, and just valuing people more than material things, like at Christmas, more than, sort of monetary things. There's not, I must be a nightmare to buy things for at Christmas. I mean, it's sort of an in joke, because there's literally, I can't think of things that I really need or want.
Yeah, and that's something that, don't get me wrong, like I obviously like to have.
Yeah, there's lots of, I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. You know what I mean? I always get distracted by glittery things and shiny things. Wouldn't it be great to have the latest iPhone, this, but then that settles down, and I just thought,
Yeah,
the phone
yeah,
I've got is perfectly fine, thanks. It works all right.
yeah,
What?
and
Don't need this, don't need that.
that's something that I'm learning. I'm not better at. I am learning and sort of understanding what you, and being, since I've been more mindful of that, my money's been able to go on things, i.e., experiences, and that's what I've
Yeah,
said. What I've said to the girls is like, when you're with me, or I always talk about like saving, because I've said to them, like being controlling of their finances to a certain point. But I want them to start understanding it, so you can just have, one eye on the future, but one eye on now. Those experiences you can have now, and some of the stuff that they've done. Like trampolining, or Molly does a bit of tennis, and Pops does some volunteering at the animal farm. And it's just stuff like that, really. It's just sort of memories.
those are the things I remember, because it's whatever gift, harping back to, I'm not going to let it go. That LED watch that didn't work. You know what I mean? 2 hours, it's gone, isn't it? But the memory of it is still there,
Well,
whether it worked or not.
I'll just go on Amazon Prime now for John.
Yeah, there must be a retro 1977 LED watch.
No, I'll try and stretch through something a bit modern, mate. Maybe not an iWatch, but I will try and get something for you.
It's just funny when you think about all of those things. And God, if I'd have kept some of those things, they'd be worth a fortune now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a, yeah, it's just interesting, Stuart. You know what I mean? Just thinking about that, and like I said, I don't know when it happened. At some point, that I realised it is about experiences, because those, like my sister will laugh watching this. She keeps reminding me of, I went to a concert to see Chaka Khan in London back in the sort of late 80s. I have no recollection of it whatsoever. For whatever reason, it's just gone out of my memory completely. I used to love Shaka Khan, at the height, I feel for you, all of that sort of stuff. And then there was another celebrity outside that she keeps reminding me. Some guy off Coronation Street was queuing up with us. I have no recollection of that day whatsoever. But I can tell you, where I was in 1976 doing something or other, and it's just mad how your memory works like that. It's just completely gone. It must have been great. I must have had a wonderful time. She said it was amazing. Nope, no. Are you sure I went? Yeah. And it was just like, okay, it's gone, Stuart. It's gone. And that's what made me realise that actually there's certain things, and maybe that comes with age. Maybe as you get a little bit older, and you know, in 20 years' time, when you're my age, you'll be starting to think back in the day, certain things that you think life was different,
Yeah.
so much simpler, less complicated, had loads of great experiences, you know, and just hark back to a desire for, you know, with all the responsibility. Think back to being a kid and how little responsibility you actually had. Didn't have to work, didn't have to pay for anything. Even when you even got your first job, maybe given a bit of a break and still living at home and stuff like that. And it's just,
Oh no, I'm fully aware of it, you know, like once again, it's something we'll talk about no doubt as the weeks go on. But this is the first time really that I've ever lived by myself properly, and you know bills and then like touch wood, like I'm okay. But in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like you said, the added pressures and the responsibilities and the memories of kind of going to bed. Oh, I haven't got to do this for this tomorrow, or you know, I've just got to not just got to go to school, but you know, what everyone else was doing around you, you know, planning ahead, and then, but yeah, different times. But once again, mate, it's all memories, isn't it?
yeah, I think that's what it's definitely about. Anyway, I think we've, I don't know what the time is, but we we racked up some good conversations there. As always, it goes all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it's good, mate, and I know this is something that I'll enjoy doing on a weekly basis, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm mindful to sort of say if anybody's, you know, we're going to be posting it, you know, in some way, shape, or form, you know, on both of our sort of platforms on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You know, we'll be letting people know. It'd be interesting to know what people's memories, you know, maybe a little bit of homework for people. Add in the comments when they see it. What is their first Christmas memory gift? You know, be something that'd be interesting to see the plethora of stuff. See if anybody else actually remembers what a grifter was.
I was about to say, I'm definitely googling it after.
You'll be jealous when you see it.
No, I will. I mean, it's lastminute.com for me to go and get one if I do want one.
Yeah, it costs you a fortune now, mate.
No, well, no, maybe not then. Maybe not.
Well, nice one, buddy.
All right,
Always good to keep checking in, and we'll speak again soon. Yeah.
top man. Take care.
Have a good Christmas. Yeah.
Right, bye.
All right. Bye bye.